When you look inside the rogue site, the minute you see a particular site name, site X, this is a program we did for one of our clients, and you can see the representation of associated entities, associated individuals behind that particular entity. So it's important to go after the entire value chain. Paid search and mobile apps is another big area that's coming up. This is more from and then the final part is offline enforcement, which is read actions and lawsuits, which a big part of the work that's done online is, can be used for business intelligence. What I mean by business intelligence is you gather your data, you look at your prices, you look at your authorized sellers, you look at your unauthorized sellers, depending on how you set up your affiliate channels, you have to kind of track them. Recently there was a case where Lakme found a lot of counterfeit goods on Flipkart. And the reason they released counterfeit goods was, and how they identified them was that in a particular market their sales started falling of that particular product. When you can predict sales and then you have an unexplained variation in your monthly update, you can actually use this information, migrate to your sales data, migrate to your affiliate channel, and then basically come up with pretty nice insights as to what you're looking for out there. It's getting complicated, so you really need everything that you can get. The other thing is you have to map your digital supply chain and protect it as much as possible. Good indicators of stuff that's happening online, suppliers of packaging, basically, anything from bottles to caps to all that stuff is all available on the internet. So depending on your industry, all your packaging, trademarks, trademark-related stuff is all available anywhere. So you have to keep a track of that. A lot of times you find sellers that claim to manufacture very similar products and then use your brand name in the bottom, and then you basically have to investigate those entities to see that there's nothing illegal happening out there. But again, it's a good information that comes off when you do good internet research. Sale of unauthorized products. You have your own website selling at price X, and then you have an unauthorized seller selling at price Y. Where's the seller going to go? Is that good counterfeit? Is that person authorized to sell the product at a discount? So it's important to kind of have this information and match it. Here's an example of a affiliate channel guy who kind of basically set up a Facebook page. He wasn't authorized to set up a Facebook page, but he was an affiliate of the particular client. So, affiliate of the brand. So he was a channel partner of the brand, and he basically set up a Facebook page, which is diverting people away from the brand's Facebook page. Monitor advertising compliance. Here's an example where, if you see, you just did a search of L'Occitane and it says, Amazon, and then you see an advertisement there by strawberry.net that says 25% less. Where you going to go? The other part of the presentation is more related to information services and how we are basically providing information to various players in the industry to combat counterfeiting and piracy. The first thing is payment processes. Payment processes are governed by stringent regulatory requirements to restrict the flow of funds to sanctioned entities, ensure that the service is not being used for illegal purposes like drugs, alcohol, arms, piracy, terrorism, etc. Here's a mapping of the Sinaloa cartel. He was just arrested yesterday. So, again, once you kind of start getting into a particular entity from the online perspective, you find a lot more out there. So we found him linked to pharmaceutical companies or something, or 20 individuals linked to that particular organization, 30 entities, and a lot of websites. Here's another OFAC sanctioned entity, Erdogan. basically, no business, no dollar payment should be going to Erdogan. And if you look at the complete left side, those are all the websites that are accepting payments on behalf of Erdogan. And payment processors, MasterCard, Visa, JCB, Western Union, all are supporting these transactions. So again, interesting and important information. Ad agencies, we supply the same information to ad agencies, and we're kind of a validated service provider for that. What we basically try to achieve is that, this is a torrent site. Everyone knows what a torrent site is, completely legal. And we have advertisers of big brands kind of advertising on it. So, ATM, for example, is an example that we cited. Jabong is an example that we cited. This should not be happening. If you're a respectable brand, do not advertise on torrent sites. And make sure that you're controlled in that sense. Logistics service providers, you can use this information to make sure that you're not supporting any illegal activity. ISPs, internet service providers, are one of the key parts to they're the gateways to the world of counterfeiting and piracy. We supply information to some of the top ISPs who basically, if a customer approaches a particular site, it pops up a warning, saying that you're entering a risky site, but be careful. It's not a trusted site. Law enforcement and investigators, customs, legal professionals. A lot of times we try to kind of just address the issue that we're seeing on the top. We're not getting into the bottom. So the idea is to make sure that we are addressing the entire network and not just what we're seeing. Just some final thoughts. Get to the source and attack the counterfeiter's entire value chain. So do your research, get in there, go after the entire problem, don't go after your PC. You need to use all relevant levers, and online is one of the critical parts there. If your business supports e-commerce in any way, make sure that you're not supporting any illegal activity while at it. So use tools, use information that will help. And finally, always have a mechanism to track and report your brand monitoring and enforcement initiatives. Thank you.